Born into a low-ranking warrior clan, Funakoshi became childhood friends with the eldest son of Anko Asato, a master of Okinawan Tode and a member of the upper warrior class. This connection led to Funakoshi studying karate under Asato. Although it was already several years after the Ryukyu Kingdom had become Okinawa Prefecture of Japan, remnants of the kingdom's class system still remained at the time. That Funakoshi was able to learn from Asato was due to his personal friendship with Asato's eldest son. According to Funakoshi, Asato Anko spent 13 years in Tokyo accompanying Shotai, the last king of the Ryukyu Kingdom. Asato returned to Okinawa in 1892, so given that Funakoshi was born in 1868, it is estimated that he studied under Asato either before the age of 15 or after the age of 28. A commemorative monument built within the grounds of Engakuji Temple in Kamakura states, from around the age of 11, he studied Tode under both Asato Anko and Itosu Anko. However, this overlaps with Asato's stay in Tokyo. If the training began before that, it would refer to the 4 years from age 11 onward. If not, then it is unclear whether Funakoshi studied for several years after the age of 28 instead. During Asato's absence, Funakoshi was entrusted to Itosu Anko, also a renowned master of the time in Okinawa and a fellow student and friend of Matsumura Sokon. The common theory is that Funakoshi continued his training under Itosu during this time. However, Mabuni Kene, the son of Mabuni Kenwa, founder of Shito-ryu and a direct disciple of Itosu, disputed this. He claimed that Funakoshi did not study directly under Itosu. Instead, he asserted that Funakoshi learned Itosu's kata from Mabuni Kenwa through Funakoshi's son, Gigo, Yoshitaka Funakoshi. Based on this analysis, there are a few possible interpretations. Funakoshi Gichin trained in Tode for 4 years under Asato Anko in his childhood. He trained in Tode for several years beginning at age 28. Or he trained both for 4 years in childhood and again for several years from age 28 onward. Funakoshi had long feared that the secretive nature of Tode, being kept strictly within closed circles, might eventually lead to the decline of the art. He reportedly wondered whether Tode could not be introduced into the school system as part of public education to promote and preserve it. This way of thinking aligns with the philosophy of Itosu Anko. Some view this as evidence that Funakoshi indeed studied under Itosu, though this remains a matter of debate. In 1901, when Ginnosuke Ogawa, an inspector from the Ministry of Education in Kagoshima Prefecture, came to Naha on official business, Funakoshi was given the opportunity to demonstrate Tode. Ogawa was deeply impressed by Funakoshi's kata performance and reported it to the Ministry of Education. As a result, Tode was officially approved as part of physical education at the Okinawa Prefectural First Middle School and the Okinawa Normal School for Boys. This approval triggered its spread to other middle schools and youth groups throughout the prefecture, eventually leading to its wider acceptance among the general public in Okinawa. Funakoshi recorded that he was around 38 years old at the time. From this period onward, Funakoshi immersed himself seriously in the effort to popularize Tode. In 1916, when Funakoshi was 52, he is said to have performed a demonstration at the Butokuden, Martial Virtue Hall, in Kyoto. However, it is believed that no primary source documentation of this event exists. According to Nagamine Shoshin, who learned Tode from Funakoshi while attending Tomari Elementary School at the time, Funakoshi taught his students kata such as Naihanchi, Teki, and Pinan, Heian. According to Ryozo Fujiwara, Funakoshi learned the Pinan kata from Mabuni Kenwa. This was because Funakoshi was a direct student of Asato and had no opportunity to learn the Pinan forms, originally created by Itosu, directly from Itosu himself. In May 1917, Funakoshi participated in the Okinawa Tode Research Association, which was held at the home of Mabuni Kenwa, the founder of Shito-ryu. The meeting was also attended by prominent figures in the karate world, including Yabu Kentsu, Hanagusuku Chomo, and Miyagi Chojun. A few years later, a naval captain brought a training fleet to Okinawa and observed a karate demonstration. The captain was said to be astonished upon witnessing this entirely new martial art. From that moment, karate gradually began to gain recognition on the Japanese mainland. In March 1921, then Crown Prince Hirohito, later Emperor Showa, stopped in Okinawa during his overseas tour and viewed a demonstration. Funakoshi served as the chief director of the performance, and Emperor Showa later cited karate as one of the most memorable impressions he had from Okinawa. That same year, a request was sent for a demonstration of Tode at the first physical education exhibition, hosted by the Ministry of Education on the Japanese mainland. Funakoshi was entrusted with the important role of introducing Tode to mainland Japan. Looking at the facts, it becomes clear that Funakoshi was not selected for this role solely because of his martial prowess, but rather because, as a schoolteacher, he was the one chosen by the Ministry of Education to be the central figure in presenting Tode to the mainland. This later sparked debate within the Okinawan karate community, a topic that will be discussed later. At the time, Funakoshi was in a state of extreme poverty. After arriving on the mainland, he lived at Meiji-era, a dormitory for Okinawan students located in Suidobashi, where his space was only the size of 3.5 tatami mats. Funakoshi's demonstration at the exhibition was a great success, receiving enthusiastic praise from the general public on the mainland. From that point on, many people began to visit Meiji-era, seeking out Funakoshi and his Tode. Among these visitors was a representative of Kano Jigoro, the founder of judo. Later, Funakoshi gave a demonstration in front of Kano and approximately 200 judo practitioners. However, as Funakoshi only demonstrated kata and did not engage in the intense sparring and practical training that was the norm at the Kodokan, the judo practitioners reportedly showed little interest in his Tode. After the exhibition ended and Funakoshi was preparing to return to Okinawa, the renowned painter Kosugi visited him and requested to receive instruction in Tode. Funakoshi postponed his return and began visiting the Poplar Club, a social gathering place for artists led by Kosugi, once a week to provide instruction. On the final day of instruction, Kosugi asked Funakoshi to leave behind a short piece of writing to be published in a magazine before returning home. However, Funakoshi misunderstood the request and thought he had been asked to leave behind a book about Tode. That very night, he began writing a manuscript. A few days later, he completed the manuscript for an entire book. This became the first ever published book on Tode in history, Ryukyu Kenpo Todejutsu. By the way, why did Funakoshi misunderstand the request to write a short article, Ipitsu, as a request to write an entire book, Isatsu? I suspect that language may have played a role in the confusion. Even though several decades had passed since the island nation of the Ryukyu Kingdom had become Okinawa Prefecture under Japan, it is easy to imagine that Okinawans at the time were still not fully accustomed to the language of the Japanese mainland. Even today, when elderly people in Okinawa speak in what is called Uchina Aguchi, their speech is entirely incomprehensible to those of us who speak Japanese on the mainland. For example, thank you, let's eat becomes
ありがとうございます。いただきます。
ミフェーレービルクワッチーサビラ。
Also, songs in the Okinawan style arranged by mainland musicians may be understandable and singable for people from the mainland, but when it comes to traditional Okinawan music, mainland Japanese cannot sing it or understand the lyrics unless they practice extensively. Although Funakoshi was a schoolteacher, and thus likely had a better grasp of standard Japanese than the average Okinawan at the time, this episode shows that smooth communication was still a challenge. This is only my speculation, but I believe that while there were several karate masters in Okinawa at the time who were more renowned than Funakoshi, there may have been no one else as proficient in standard Japanese, nor anyone who could explain the fundamentals of karate as clearly and logically to beginners as Funakoshi could. I think this background may have played no small role in Funakoshi being selected to introduce Tode to the mainland. Japan Bee is a channel that randomly shares information about lesser-known aspects of Japanese culture, spanning across various genres.